respect that. Don't impose. Dr. Alban, the musician, I read, his father insisted that he should go and read medicine. He went and read dentistry. Came back and gave the father the certificate. And then went and read music. And he's a celebrated musician today. And there are quite a number of them like that. So most cases we give them, because allowing them to go to school, secondary school especially, makes them exposed to different fields. That is the choosing point, where they choose what they want to be. So what you do is encourage them, discuss with them.
Now we'll start our conversation taking our quote as usual, and this time it is from Terrence Stanley Mann. He is an American professional basketball player for the Los Angeles Clippers of the National Basketball Association. He once said that movies will make you famous, television will make you rich, but theater will make you good. Doesn't that sound good? All right, we'll take our second quote, and this time it is from the very popular William Shakespeare. Everybody knows him. He's popularly called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. He is an English playwright, poet, and actor. He is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's greatest dramatist. He once said that all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Absolutely spot on, you say. Now let's see how this relates to what we will be discussing today. Warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We're reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. Now, theater, as derived from the ancient Greek theatron, a place for viewing, that's what it is known as, is a collaborative form of performing art that uses live performers, usually actors and actresses, to present the experience of a real or imagined event before a live audience in a specific place, often a stage. Now, the performers may communicate this experience to the audience through combination of gestures, speech, song, music, and dance, elements of art such as painted scenery and stagecraft, such as are used to enhance the physicality, the presence, and immediacy of the experience. The field of theater encompasses not only live, improvised, and scripted work, but also dramatic forms such as film, television, and other electronic media. Now, due to the increasingly pervasive influence of contemporary theatrical media, theater has enormous importance in every citizen's life. Now, theater is about the examination and resolution of fundamental human issues and is built on understanding and presenting interaction between people. Now, theater work provides a vehicle for students to reflect on important aspects of life, in the process developing their sensitivity and deepening the understanding of others' point of view. So, are you a student or a lover of theater arts, acting and all, or any of that? Now then, stick with me as my guest, Adekole Oklobia. He is an associate professor, Department of Theater Arts, University of Abuja. He will open our eyes to a lot of beautiful things happening in the world of art. Stay tuned. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you've not missed anything because we're about to get started. Our guest is Adekole Oklobia. He is an associate professor of the Department of Theater Arts here at the University of Abuja, here in Abuja, actually. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
It's a pleasure.
All right, then let's get started. What is theater arts, and what are the major components of theater arts? Or what exactly does it comprise of?
Oh, you're starting from... Where do I start? From the bottom of the pot or the top of the pot?
Start from the top.
From the top.
Yes.
Theater art is a discipline.
Okay.
Theater arts is a discipline in most tertiary institutions in Nigeria. But then again, it's a field of practice, which deals basically with the arts of performance. All components, most of the components include drama, television, dance, music, song, and all that, costume and all that. And it revolves around our culture, cultural practices in the societies.
So it's really that really encompassing, because a lot of people, when they talk about theater art, you just think that it only stops at stage performance or movies, and that's about
You've just reminded me about my days, my undergraduate days in the university.
Ah, okay.
Then they used to call us Ajasco boys and girls.
what does that mean?
If you remember, there used to be this comic that used to be produced here in Nigeria in the mid 80s. It was so funny. So one of the major characters there was Ajasco, boy Ajasco or so.
Baba Ajasco.
Baba Ajasco, thank you. So they used to call us Ajasco boys and girls because all they believed in then was that theater was just about dancing and singing.
Okay.
Not knowing that there are some major, those are just part of what theater is all about.
Okay.
Yes. When you find us talking about theater history, you find us talking about theater history, literature and criticisms. We go into news, acting, news production, like what you're doing now, stage, and that's the live stage and theater stage, radio and television, all encompassing. But over the years, they've been branching off, media has been branching off, film has been branching off. But theater is still the core producer of most of this.
Oh, just like a tree that has so
different
many
branches.
Yeah. So can someone actually come and say, I'm a theater art student, but I have knowledge of everything?
Yes, you can.
Oh, okay.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Because in your undergraduate days, you are introduced into
a little bit of everything.
Everything.
Okay.
It is when you go into your postgraduate that you now start talking of specialization in the areas you want to major in.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so now, why is theater art so important if I am not a lover of art and or I don't even understand the art or the message a particular art is trying to pass across? How can I get acquainted in the first place?
Get interested.
Okay.
Get interested. If you're not interested, you will not like it. But if you want to get used to, if you want to get acquainted with it, you just get interested. Start by getting the opportunity to watch performances, to read the text, plays, and the rest of it. Meeting the people who are in the business, the interest will grow. And with your growth of interest, you will now be determined on what aspect of it you want. And you cannot build yourself up on it.
Okay, so when you just see some drawings and then they tell you the meaning of that drawing, and you're like, for someone who doesn't understand anything about art, you just say, how? Because I actually saw a particular drawing, and then the person said the message the drawing is trying to pass across is unity in diversity, and it doesn't look like it. So for someone like me who doesn't understand, but I am interested, how do I get acquainted?
Okay, let me cut the line here. What you are talking about when you mention drawing, you are talking about painting.
Painted, yes.
Okay, maybe sculpting and the rest of it. I'm in the performance arts.
Oh, okay.
Which is completely different.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
But then, one of the links is that it's an art. The performance art and the painter or the drawing, they're both arts.
Okay.
Okay. One thing you can find that links us up is absurdism.
Okay.
What probably you did not see that the painter saw in that painting, which you needed to be explained to, is that maybe he is coming from an angle as an absurdist painter. Nothing will tell you the meaning except if he does.
Oh, okay, okay.
We have it in the performance art too.
Okay.
You might watch a play on stage and you won't know the meaning.
You don't understand.
Until it is explained to you further. So the artist has his way of interpreting or play in his role in the society.
Oh, great. So now, is acting an inborn thing that anyone can venture into without going 1 inch close to the four walls of the university?
Yes. The day you were born, you become an actor.
Okay.
And the day you die, you stop being an actor. Shakespeare said it, that we are all mere actors, but actors. Acting on a stage, the world is a stage where we act, we come in, perform our, act our performances and exit. So our coming into the world is when we're born. We play the role of either school children, if we get the opportunity, or beggars, if we don't get the opportunity. And that is how it is. We transit over the years until we die. But then, the formal training of being an actor, you get it in schools, or you join the group. And with practice, you get trained formally to become an actor.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So now, because you talked about schools, now for a student who wants to go into theater art from any level, be it undergraduate, postgraduate, or in any level at all, what are the courses under theater arts, and what are the things that they need to know before they venture into that course? If
you want to come into the course from for an undergraduate program, from your secondary school, you need to know English language.
Okay.
You need to know literature in English. You need to know history. These three are the basic ones. But because the requirements in Nigeria says you must have, now they say you must have mathematics. So you need to have mathematics. English is already there, which is the basic qualification you need to get in.
Did they solve maths there?
Wow. Let me finish this, I'll come to that.
Okay, great.
Okay, so I've added mathematics now 4.
Okay.
Then probably Christian religious studies or any other course. Economics and any other course to make it 5 basic requirements for JAM. From your NECO or WAEC, then you don't have to write JAM, which the requirements are there for you to come in to read the course of a 4-year program in theater arts in most of our tertiary institutions in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes. But then the basic ingredient that you need to have is that interest.
Interest.
And determination to succeed. It might seem like a very lazy course. Some people say, even if it is theater arts, give my daughter or give my son. Let the son go to the university. Even if maybe the child wanted economics, political science, sociology, and the rest of it, and didn't get it. So it's okay, even if it is theater arts. At the point, theater arts became a dumping ground in our tertiary institutions. But then, where are we today? We are well sought after in different fields. We produce for Nollywood, not to talk of the stage. So theater arts is beginning to regain its relevance in the society. And then, talking about mathematics, one of my areas of specialization is design.
Okay.
Design in the theater, which includes lights. Lights is physics. For me, in organized climes, to light this studio, I must know the temperature. You must calculate the temperature of individual lights so that you'll have perfect illumination. And I must know the direction that's the distribution of each lantern. I must know the capacity. Is it the 750 watt? Calculate how many wattage do we need for effective lighting in this studio. That's mathematics, that's physics to a large extent. And then the painting. How much light can your dress absorb and your face? We have to know the texture, the color, so that we can mix and give out a comfortable product for your viewers. So it encompasses all that.
Oh, wow. Really encompassing.
It does.
Wow. All right. So now, because let's taking a cue from what you said about parents who want to put their children, who see art as a dumping ground.
Yes.
Now, back in the days when a child tells his or her parent or guardian that they want to study art and or be an artist or an entertainer, the first thing you hear is that child must be a numbskull. So then, has that narrative actually changed in this day, parenthood and all of that? Has it actually changed, and have we been able to upgrade from that narrative?
Yes, it is upgrading. It hasn't changed completely, but it's changing.
Okay, so it's still work in progress.
It still was work in progress.
Okay.
Because most times it still happens, but not as much as it used to be in those days. When a child is about finishing secondary school, the parent will simply say, I want him to go and be a read medicine, to be a medical doctor or go into law. Those are the two professions they used to know. Along the line, engineering came. Theater art was, like you say, a dumping ground. Even if just let him just leave the house and go to school. I remember a professor of mine, he's still there. His father abandoned him when he left school to go and follow a dance or a theater troupe. His father dumped him and told him he should get out of his house. They reconciled about 15, 20 years ago after the man became a professor. The first professor of dance.
Wow.
West Coast of Africa. They reconciled recently. But he made his mark in the field of theater. And he's still making his mark. And a lot of people are there like that in the field. Parents, basic thing is that they're not quite enlightened about what theater is all about. So that's where that brings the problem. And they don't sit down to discuss with their children. What do you want to study? What do you want to be in future? Why? Let the child tell you as a parent. Respect his decision, because as at the time the child will want to go to the university, he's old enough to take a decision, he or she is old enough to take a decision for he or herself's future. So respect that, don't impose. Dr. Alban, the musician, I read, his father insisted that he should go and read medicine. He went and read dentistry. Came back and gave the father the certificate, and then went and read music. And he's a celebrated musician today. And there are quite a number of them like that. So most cases we give them, because allowing them to go to school, secondary school especially, makes them exposed to different fields. That is the choosing point, where they choose what they want to be. So what you do is encourage them, discuss with them.
So if you were not a professor of art, what other course or what other field would you have been ventured into?
If I were not a professor of theater arts, I'll have been a lecturer in theater arts.
Interested. Okay, now, so I hear you talk about, you said you give scripts, or you also help those in Nollywood.
Yeah.
So now, what is the difference between the stage play or the stage performance and the normal Nollywood actor? What is the difference? Because we always see them as one and the same.
Well, acting for television is completely different from acting for stage.
Okay.
One, the performance space is different. If I'm on stage, live stage performance now, I won't be talking to you like this. My tempo will be higher.
Oh, okay.
For the audience to hear me. And I will have to exaggerate my movement for them to understand. Well, for television or for the movies, I'm contained. The performance space isn't much, I'm contained. Most times, the electronics do the work. The microphone, the cameras. But for stage, you have to do all that. Your positioning, your tempo, and the rest. You have to really project for the audience to hear you. But here, the voice level is picked up and regulated. The same thing with the lights.
Okay.
Yes.
So which is more difficult?
Stage.
I can imagine.
Stage is more difficult.
So can a stage artist also be a Nollywood artist?
Most times, The early part and the middle part of Nollywood, you find stage-trained artists who were the ones feeding Nollywood.
Oh, okay.
But now we have people who go through television training, acting and for television in film schools, academies, which we have in Nigeria, so many of them now, which is good. And they train them for television or for film acting.
Okay.
So they don't really have to go through theater arts. But still, those that go through theater arts are still there with them. It's just that they have the advantage of the experience of stage training and then importing that to the movies.
So now, why is it that the stage play or performance has not evolved and be at par with the TV or the Nollywood movies? Because now we've seen how much the Nollywood movies have grown from the norm to you now have the premiere movies that are being streamed on Netflix and all of that, and in every part of the world. But yet the stage play seems to be a little bit dragging. What's that?
Well, in the late 80s, into the late 80s, live theater performances were still the norm in Nigeria. People will go with their families to go and watch live theater performances. But towards from the mid 80s into the late 80s into the early 90s, the issue of insecurity reared its head up. You go and park your car in front of a in a theater parking lot, go in and come out, your car is stolen. You are coming from the theater to go to the bus stop or to go home, you are accosted by robbers, hoodlums. Insecurity started creeping its ugly head into Nigeria, and people started running away from live theater performances or live shows, which theater performances was included. And then came Nollywood in the early 90s, which was very comfortable. Just buy a copy and go or rent a copy and sit in the comfort and security of your house with your family and watch. After 2-3 days, you return that copy. If you are nice enough, you return that copy and get another copy to watch. That was what boomed Nollywood and created the dearth of live theater performances in Nigeria. And the theaters were again converted to church buildings, worship places. So who was going there? So theater performances were now relegated to just tertiary institutions where you train students. Even there, because of insecurity, this training had to be streamlined. I remember the days when we were in school, my undergraduate days, we could rehearse in the theater all night and then stroll back to the hostel. But now, we can't do that. You can't keep children in the theater and then let them go at about 5, 6, or bring them at about 8. What if that theater is not properly secured? What if on their way to the theater, on their way out of the theater home, what happens to them? You have to take responsibility. And most students don't stay in the hostels now because of the situation. Hostel facilities are not enough. So they have to rent houses in obscure places, cheaper places. What if on their way back there, anything happens to them? So we have to rehearse, perform at times that when they leave, it will be safe enough for everybody to get to his destination, his or her destination.
Okay.
So that is basically what has caused the death of live theater performances in Nigeria.
Oh, wow. I have 2 questions that's running through my mind, but I'll ask the first one. I hope I don't forget the other one. Now, we always see pictures online, social media, where when you have the induction of theater arts students and they're looking like these native babalawos, and then they have all these colorful things, and then people are always wondering, what is happening here? Is it ritual killing? Is that part of the induction rather? Right,
yeah, it's induction. Over the years, there's been a practice among theater's department, because what happens is when we gather as students of theater arts, we become a family.
Okay.
We become a family. So at the beginning, you're welcome in with that practice. But because of the society we find ourselves, because of where we start, we go back to our cultures.
Okay.
Most of our practices, religious or whatever practices, are ritual based. We imitate that. Theater is all about what? Imitation of real life event, but it is not real life event. It is not a ritual. It's not an initiation, it's an induction. But to make it, using the word you use, colorful, we give them that costume and makeup. And the paraphernalia, just to imitate an initiation, sort of.
But it's not an initiation.
It's not an initiation. To imitate.
Okay.
That's the word. To imitate. Inducting you into the family of theater students in that institution. It's just like you finish medicine. After your MBBS, what do you do if you pass? Before you go and practice, you have to swear the hypocritical oath. That is what? Is that not an initiation? But our own, we imitate it.
Okay.
We don't practice it. After that, you don't do it anymore.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so now the second question on my mind is between theater or live performance, that's if you want to go to the theater to watch a movie. And
not a movie, a performance.
A performance, rather. And then going to the cinema. Which is better? Which do you have more these days?
Cinema.
Okay. So that means the live
performances has really gone down.
Okay.
It's more in tertiary institutions now because of training and all that and the environment. So people prefer to go and watch a movie in the cinema than to go and watch a theater performance. And then screening a movie, it has been produced. It's been packaged and all. Theater performances they're there. You have to carry all the people along.
Okay.
Build your set. I go into a theater to put up a play, I have to build my set.
Okay.
And all that. So it's a bit cumbersome, so to say. But then we're up to the task. It's just that the audience are not there because of the situation in the country.
All right, so we're due for a break. Let's go on this quick break, and when we return, we'll stretch this conversation a little bit further. Don't move a muscle. There have been several claims that theater arts, Nollywood movies have, in one way or the other, contributed by way of influencing the restive youth to think that it is an alternative or quick source of income for them. Now, I'm sure you must have heard or seen that or read it somewhere, whether online or offline. Now, what are your reactions to that?
I think it's a wrong assertion for blaming Nollywood or theater or influence. Yes, the influence is part of the business. But it's wrong to say they have raised the issue in the society.
Glad to have you back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you just joined us, you missed quite a lot, but then you can still join in the conversation. We have our guest. He is Adekole Oklobia. He is an associate professor, Department of Theatre Art in the University of Abuja. All right, before we went on that break, you said quite a lot of things. Now, I'm going to ask you, why is it that a lot of people these days don't appreciate stage play and even arts and culture? And because, yes, we have every good reason to, in terms of earning lots of revenues from tourism, arts and culture. But then it seems like it's dwindling, even when we have good reasons to. Because if you begin to look back in the days where we had the National Theatre, because I remember that time used to be like the hub for every school want to go there for excursions and all. But now it has all actually gone down. It's no longer in its glory days. So what exactly is responsible for this?
There are quite a myriad of problems or issues that cropped up over the years. My takeoff point for this problem that the theater suffered or is suffering is usually the late 80s into the early 90s.
Okay.
And basically, like I said earlier on, the issue of insecurity made people move away from live theater. People who were still who loved the business jumped into Nollywood, joined the all-comers in Nollywood to build up Nollywood. But I must tell you, some people stayed back, apart from those in the tertiary institution,
Okay.
as lecturers and the rest. Some people stayed back in the practice because of the love for the business. It wasn't bringing in much, but we were contented, just like teachers. Okay, we're contented. And what they did was to try to bring it back again to those glory days, which is what they are doing now. Thank God, for the first time, a professional is heading the National Theatre, a professor of theatre arts. And he has, in his short stay there, he has taken the National Theatre at least above 50% of what it used to be. He's bringing it back with the help of other professionals. And that's how it is in other places. We now have growing pockets of private theatre companies who are trying to build up on the lack of theatre within societies or communities. We used to have them in those days. The Yoruba Travelling Theatre, Ladi Ladipo, Hubert Ogunde, amongst others in other communities, other places too. But because of this issue of insecurity and the issues in the society, economic issues and all, it dwindled.
Okay.
But it's picking up slowly, but I must assure you, surely.
Oh, great. All right, because you said something about theater art has to do with imitation of what happens in the real
society.
life. So does theater art really give the true picture of what is happening in the reality, whether imitation or...
Let me ask you a question. I know you are doing the asking.
I'm the one doing the asking.
If you stand in front of a mirror, what do you see?
Me.
The real you. That's what the theater gives to the society.
Okay.
The real society. We might, because of our poetic license, paint it a little, either to make you laugh, to make you cry, or to make you reflect upon yourself. But it's the picture of the society that we give. We lift up from our experiences, personal or told, and give it back to the society the way we want to give it back, so that the society will understand and look at itself as if it's a mirror. So I can address issues within you, the individual, or the society collectively. So we give the true picture.
All right, great. Now taking a cue from what you just said and where you landed, following the alarming rate of kidnapping, ritual killings, drug trafficking, abuse and misuse that are recorded across the country at the moment, there have been several claims that theater arts, Nollywood movies have in one way or the other contributed by way of influencing the restive youth to think that it is an alternative or quick source of income for them. Now, I'm sure you must have heard or seen that or read it somewhere, whether online or offline. Now, what are your reactions to that?
I think it's a wrong assertion for blaming Nollywood or theater for influence. Yes, the influence is part of the business. But it's wrong to say they have raised the issue in the society. Kidnappings, ritual killings have been in our society before Nollywood. They've been there. There was a ritual in BC Daughter of the River by Wole Soyinka in 1971. Why didn't they accuse him then? Politicians fought Hubert Ogunde in his bread and butter in the 50s. Banned him from Kano, banned him from Jos and certain places, because he was telling the society what was wrong in the society. The rituals we see in our movies today are there in our societies where we live. Yes, the producer, the director, the scriptwriter can bring up something from his imagination. He can create something from his imagination. But the bulk of his content comes from the society. And at the end of these movies, do they celebrate the ritualists? Do they celebrate the kidnappers? There's always a downfall for the wrong. So if you start a movie and you see somebody has gone to kidnap somebody and collected a huge ransom, and you end the movie there, you decide to go and practice it outside. Watch the movie to the end. You will see that man's downfall for the offense he has committed.
Okay, but my apologies. Now, but you see that aside the ritual killings, let's talk about action movies. Like in some action movies, you see where they teach people, according to them, to the federal government. They said most of the youth that they've apprehended said they watched some of the things they do from the movies. So now with some of the movies that you watch, like they say, Ato, no, they die for film. So at the end of the day, you say that they are not glorifying or celebrating these ritual killers. But at the end, in some part of the movies, like the ones you see, the Hollywood movies, the actors don't die. And then these restive youths, they learn how to use these guns, but then the actor is not apprehended because, they die. What are your thoughts on that?
There are more guns on the streets of the US, United States of America, than on the streets of Nigeria. I don't have the figures or the statistics. There are more guns there. There are more killings on the street there. And there are more action movies where actors know they die in the US than in Nigeria. Why blame the movies? The actor tells you or shows you that if you carry a gun, you can go and kill somebody, collect his or her jewelry, his money and all that. But as you are going, the police comes, apprehends you, and you go to jail. Not so?
So, but sometimes nothing happens to the actor.
Because he's doing what?
He's the boss in some of the movies.
He is not killing in real life. He is imitating what is happening out there. He is imitating what is happening out there. So when the police comes and picks him up, he's telling you that if you go and do that kind of thing I just did, the police will pick you up too.
Okay.
And the next time you see him telling another story in another movie. So he's always telling the society, this can be done, this is done. At the end, you say, this will be the repercussion. This will be the result, positively or negatively. Most times, if it is a wrong, the repercussions are negative. So it's better not to do wrong. So most of the times, let's watch the movies to the end before we criticize them. It's not that I am justifying that they should go and be teaching people how to kill people themselves in movies. Okay? I wrote a collection of short stories, published it some years ago. And a colleague of mine, an elder colleague of mine, read it and called me at about 4 a.m. that I was a wicked man. Why did I allow these characters to die? The next day he met me and threw the copy I gave him, threw back at me. That is all nonsense. Look, this story, especially this one. Why did I allow this innocent girl to die? And I told myself that yes, I did a good job. Because if you follow the story, when I sat the man down and followed the story, her parents shouldn't have done what they did to her. So they started on the wrong premise, and the girl was the one that suffered for it. The Holy Bible says the iniquities of the father shall be visited upon the children. So, if you watch a movie, you start a movie, see it to the end before we really criticize. Of course, not all of them. Some of them glorify these wrongdoings for whatever reason. It's the license of the writer. So, as an open-minded audience, which is expected of you, you're not supposed to take everything hook, line, and sinker.
Okay.
You're not expected to take. There are things you look at and say, no, this movie is trash. What are critics there for? As an innocent viewer, you're a critic. You might just be there, maybe not the technicalities, but you can criticize the story. You can criticize the acting style. You can look at it from this costume and say, nah, I don't like this thing. I go wear this kind of clothes. This story is not good. I don't like the story. Why should this man go and steal from that woman? You are criticizing the work.
But then it ends there. Who are you supposed to report them to?
Their avenues, their feedbacks. Sometimes these stories, first of all, again, before I go there, these stories, what appeals to you might not appeal to me. So by way of reporting or taking my own stance against that movie that you so love is by throwing it away. I won't watch it again. I will criticize it.
Okay.
But there are feedback mechanisms. Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board, they regulate these movies. A lot of them, I know, a lot of these movies have to be sent back to the cutting board to remove some aspects of it before they come back and they get certified.
Okay.
It is when the Film and Video Censors Board sees that it is good for you and I as citizens of the country that they let it go into the market. But if it is not, they don't let it go into the market. But typical of human beings, anywhere in the world, some people circumvent that.
I was going to ask that in Nigeria, do we still go through all that process?
We go through.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
But some people circumvent it and throw their movies into the market without going through the right processes. And the Film and Video Censors Board is there. And it is still clamping down on them. It is picking the movies out of the market as they go. But of course, they've already released the movies into the market. But in picking them up as time goes on, they reduce the distribution networks of these movies.
All right. You said something about before you criticize a movie, you should watch it till the end.
Yeah.
Now, we already know the typical Nigerian movie or Nollywood movie. You just believe that we already know where this movie will end. So let's just, I beg. They would even tell you the movie before it ends.
It ends.
Does that still happen today? Or have we changed that narrative?
The narrative, I'm in the business. The narrative is changing. At a point, Nollywood started as an all-comers game. Anybody who will assemble a VHS camera, get his friends. Some of these movies don't even have scripts. They were improvised. Get his friends, put them on his set. Okay, two of you sit down, face like this. Talk about the issues, about the cost of Maggi in the market. Or a cameraman stand by. Let's try it and see. You understand? Two ladies will start discussing about Maggi in the market, blah, 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 blah. Camera, action. Finish that one. Cut, take a walk and move to another location. They were assembling all that. I was going into Nollywood. But now, with the trained theater artists who now infiltrated into Nollywood, Nollywood is getting it back to its feet in terms of professionalism.
Okay.
From script to finishing. Camera, directing, writing, acting. And into where it is expanding, Nollywood is expanding into now, which is distribution. Distribution is the next level. You talked about Netflix and the rest of them. That is the next distribution level that we've gotten into, which is really good for the industry. Netflix will not take any movie that is not certified by Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board.
Okay.
Netflix will not take any movie that has undermining stories. It has to be a story that can scale all the fences around the world before they will now be criticized.
All right then, so seeing that just recently the Minister of Information and Culture, La Mohammed, disclosed that filmmakers in the country have been asked to avoid making money ritual content, as he stated that the federal government's decision to sanitize social media is hinged on confessions of some money ritual suspects. So now I'm wondering, because if you're looking at the crime the action movies that you see with the Hollywood movies or the Bollywood movies or the Mexican movies, those gringos, those ones, they're even more serious. And you cannot regulate how much people watch those movies. So how better can we actually go about all of this instead of trying to, according to some people, gog your workspace?
Well, whatever the minister said, he has said. I won't go into that. I'm a theater artist. I get my content from the society, or I use my imagination to embellish what I have seen in the society. If you can remember correctly, and I think it still goes on, the Indian movies of the Americas in those days, the Red Indians that they were trying to colonize or wipe out, they used that as a propaganda. The Indians were into rituals. Why didn't the government tell the producers not to produce such movies? One thing that we lack in our society today is awareness about everything.
Okay.
Every aspect of the society we lack. The typical Nigerian lacks awareness. Let's not pretend about it. That the man has a telephone now, he has a radio, he has access to the internet, he has access to cable satellite. That awareness is not properly being worked on or executed. In the colonial days, we have the National Film Unit or so. They used to go to villages with Land Rovers with screens, projector screens and the rest. Where there was no light to get to, where there was no radio, there was no television, under the Ministry of Information, they used to go all the way there to create awareness about governmental policies and the rest of it, or just to entertain, so that the people will feel carried along.
Okay.
But that is missing now. So if we create enough awareness that these things you see in the movies is an imitation, you go and do it behind you in your backyard, you'll simply be arrested by the police.
So who's supposed to create this awareness?
Both ways, both people, the government and the industry.
Okay.
The government and the industry. But then it behooves more on the government to create that awareness so that the industry can thrive, so that instead of people learning from the industry to go and kill or to go and steal, they will learn from the industry so that the industry will generate more to the GDP, which is going back to government to improve the society that these people are living in.
All right, then, that's great. So now, what exactly is the connection between with drugs and entertainment, especially for a lot of youths? Because you just see some of them before they go on stage, they're always super hyped or super pumped up, and then when you ask, they'll tell you that they've either taken one thing or the other is either drug or alcohol, and that has made a lot of parents to not agree or to disagree allowing their children to go into art or entertainment. So what is the connection between drugs and entertainment?
One of the things we teach in the field of theater arts is discipline.
Okay.
If you imbibe that discipline to all you do, everything about your life, you don't have any business with drugs. Yes, before you go on stage, few minutes before you go on stage, you'll feel some butterflies running in your tummy. Some people want to go and hide under drugs or alcohol, just like the robbers do, just like every other person does. But it's wrong. That shows indiscipline. You have to be in control. And then, because of the hype in the life of the actors, they're superstars. They're in the limelight every minute. They can't go to the market alone. They have no time. In fact, they have no space. At every point in time, people are running after them to sign autographs and all that. They fall into depression when they're out of business, when they're not on location. And the only thing that keeps them company is the drugs. And when people get to hear that this high and mighty superstar is into drugs, they want to be like him, not knowing that he was taking that or she was taking that drug to solve a problem. Not prescribed, most probably, but then killing himself. And then his fans will think that, it is because of the drugs he rose. He rose up to become a superstar. It is while he became a superstar that he decided to start taking the drugs. Not to hype himself, but to help himself or survive depression that comes with that stardom. We see our youths all over the place now. They are sagging their trousers because they saw it in movies. Superstars sagging their trousers. I know. These are excerpts or whatever they picked up from prisoners in the movies in the US, because they don't allow them wear trouser belts. Their trousers are supposed to be one size fits all. So when you see a fat prisoner and then go and give him that size, and then go and see a slim prisoner, his trousers will definitely sag.
But some of these movies have people sagging their pants also.
That is part of where you as the audience should pick the right thing and dump the wrong one.
So whatever movie I watch, I'm supposed to sieve. Okay.
It's not everything you take. It's not everything you take. Even if you go to the market, by the time you buy your crayfish, are you just going to go and pound it and throw it into your soup? You're going to sieve it. Whatever product you buy is the good ones that you pick and then dump the bad ones.
All right.
As much as possible, the Nigerian Film and Video Censors Board reduces the bad ones before it goes out into the market.
All right, even as we begin to round up, let's talk about script writing. What does it actually take to be a script writer and also a content writer? I hear that they're two different things.
You can separate them, yes.
Okay.
But they are basically the same thing.
Okay.
Okay. For content, you don't have a straitjacketed rules and regulation, because whatever you're going to develop, you look for the materials, the ingredients. I'm putting with full ball, fit in here for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Will market issues fit in here for 5 minutes? You are developing a content for probably a bulletin or a program.
Okay.
All right. But for a script writer, the moment you can tell a story, which every one of us can, you can become a script writer. All you need to do is articulate your thoughts through either your experiences, your knowledge, or your imagination. Articulate it. Of course, you use your imagination to use your all this when you're developing your content.
Okay.
Because you are going to use that content to tell a story. The scriptwriter is also telling a story from his own point of view. It is with that imagination that you now develop the characters that people can understand, listen to them, and their lines. So, both ways, one of the things you are aiming at is believability.
Okay.
You are trying to package either a script for the stage or for the movies, or you are developing a content for television, a program for television or for the movies, so that people will see, listen, and believe you.
Okay.
So they're basically the same, but the basic thing is that you must be a storyteller.
So which is difficult, script writing or content writing?
In my own opinion, none is difficult. All you need to do is put yourself to it.
Okay.
And you'll find it, develop that interest and you'll find it easy.
All right then, I would like it to get just a few words from you for parents who they have children, because I hear now they're going to start writing JAM, and they have children who might want to go into art, and then their parents are saying no to this. So I'd like you to, in a few words, just give us some words or to this parents why they should allow their children to make their choices.
The first thing I will advise or suggest to every parent is talk to your child or your ward. Discuss with them. Be their friends. You will know where they're going to. And help them too. While you are discussing with them and they tell you they want to go into the arts, either theater arts, performing arts, or into the movies. Why? You should have an idea of what that is. Well, in the course of your discussion with your child, the child will tell you. He's not jumping into it because of peer group influence or the rest of it. If he is, you will know. And advise the child that, look, oh, this is for your future. Are you ready to start working towards that, on that path now? If the child can convince you, let the child go and help the child along the line.
What a fine way to end this conversation. Thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you very much,
It's been a
Annabelle.
wonderful time talking to you.
It's a pleasure.
All right, then, that's it for today's conversation. We have been chatting with Adekole Oklobia. He is an associate professor at the Department of Theatre Art in the University of Abuja, and it has been a wonderful time. He actually did justice to every word today. I'm sure you must have been entertained, rightly informed, and rightly educated. I will definitely see you next time. From the nation's capital, Abuja, I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.